Excellent. All right, we're almost at the end. We're going to have one more quick talk. Chuck is going to talk to us about, let me think now. Oh, well, you can surprise me.
Thanks, Paul. The laser's working? There we go. Yeah, I'm standing between Rick and his beer, so I won't be too long. Where are we here? Okay. So, Yellowknife, Al, Julie and I just came down from there, and I'll give you a quick rendition of what we did. But first, as your impact crater coordinator, I'm pleased to report that, yes, we have one new crater on this planet. Al described the whole situation that happened, so yeah, it was quite the surprise. And those shock waves, the big one and then the tiny ones after were pretty impressive. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to describe one of the last sets of craters that we've explored, Pilot Lake, just in the southern part of Northwest Territories. I'm going to start our trip, though. We started up here at Tuktoyaktuk. I'm going to show you Great Bear Lake, Lake de Gras, and Yellowknife at Great Slave Lake. But first, whoops, where are we here? Will this work?
Your dot came up.
Oh, yeah, there we are. Just, yeah, 445 million years. Basically, the first moss was on our planet at this time when Pilot Lake happened. And where did it happen? Right there. That's what we looked like 445 million years ago. Anyway, Tuktoyaktuk. Now you have to look here. Here we're in the northern hemisphere. We're looking at the sun, and the sun is due north. Kind of weird. The shadows pointing due south, and in the background are the pingos. We went up there to see the northern lights, but nobody told us the sun didn't go down. Anyway, off from Tuktoyaktuk heading south, Great Bear Lake. This is Lake de Gras, halfway between Great Bear Lake and Great Slave Lake. These are diamond mines. $1 million a day comes out of each one of those holes. Awesome stuff. That's almost 3/4 of a mile deep, those craters. And it's in a lake. They had to make a dam to dig these holes. This here is Great Slave Lake, just to the east of Yellowknife, and the cliffs are awesome. I took a whole series of images there, but it was good eye candy on the way down. So Pilot Lake. This is the impact crater 445 million years ago. Great Slave Lake, Lake Athabasca, the Sand Dune Park. They call it Pilot Lake because probably we have all seen the Buffalo Airways series of flights up from Yellowknife. You think of it yourself as a bush pilot coming from Forping Money, I like to call it, Forp. And up to Yellowknife. The lakes, you got a big lake here, but then between the two, it's pretty well all the same. So the only beacon pretty well is this round lake. They called it Pilot Lake, and I didn't realize it was a crater until just recently. As you can see, we're heading south at this point. Ottawa, if you stand on your tiptoes, you might be able to see it just over there. And you notice that the lakes, they all look the same up there, except for this big round thing. Now, the crater itself, 6 kilometers diameter. The lake is 90 meters deep. It's the deepest lake up there. This is what gave them the hint that it could possibly be a crater. So as we approach it, you can see that, yeah, it is pretty big. It is a central peak complex crater. It's 90 meters underwater, unfortunately. And we just took off from Yellowknife very early in the morning because we were up there with a group of other airplanes. There's 100 other airplanes up there. And it was the last part of the convention, and you can imagine a small airport like Yellowknife with 100 airplanes trying to get off. So Jillian and I, we got up at just after 5, I think, and we were the first airplane out, so we could do a nice tourist trip. And looking back north of, yeah, there's a big hole in the ground, that's for sure. Flying over Lake Athabasca, and these are the sand dunes just to the south of Lake Athabasca, kind of a neat tourist eye candy piece on the way down. And this is Carswell Crater, just to the south of the sand dunes. I described this a couple of months ago. And a very, very large crater, but of course it's buried. And now we're heading south, just south of Calgary, to the last crater, Eagle Butte, it's called. This happened just 65.5 million years ago, just after the great extinction of the dinosaurs. So a lot of stuff was happening there. And we actually had a couple of other craters in Saskatchewan around this time, and kind of an interesting sequence that happened. But Eagle Butte, 65 million years ago, Deccan Traps were going full blast, the volcanoes over there. The Rocky Mountains were just starting to form, and of course the Atlantic Ocean was just splitting apart. This is the rim of the crater. It's under the prairie, so unfortunately we can't see it, but being a fanatic on craters, I had to fly over it. And point zero of the impact itself. So this crater represents now basically I've documented every crater in Canada except for 3. 2 of them I can't get to from the airplane, it's just out of range. And one, Julie and I are eventually going to do it. It's up in the Northwest Territories, but it was way out of range. It was for this trip. So, in conclusion, whoops. Yeah, this is the shatter cone we got. I got this from another member in Calgary. He actually footed it down to Eagle Butte. And the shatter cone is one of the firm confirmations in the fact that it is an impact. This is a crack or a shattering part of a rock, and the only way to get this is with a very high energy impact. Another energy impact that would cause a shatter cone is a nuclear explosion. So we're pretty well sure that it was a bolide impact, because we don't think the dinosaurs had nuclear weapons at that time. If they had a space program, they might have survived, but there you go. This actually is the sound sampling through the prairie regolith. It's about 50 meters deep. The crater itself is pretty pristine, but unfortunately it's under the ground. But the drilling of it did give some excellent samples, breccias and so on. So anyway, to conclude, my favorite slide here, how bright and beautiful a comet is as it flies past our comet. It's a quote from Isaac Asimov. But providing it does fly past us, this is the meteorite that Al just described to us, and a satellite view. And this was the very low angle impact. And as Gary mentioned, if it was a few seconds either side, it could have been more of a direct impact, which would have caused maybe a bigger crater than I described earlier. Anyway, thank you very much.